We're happy that to see many of you joining us today. We're a team of ISSO advisors here. My name is Nelia Fernamazova, and I'm here with my colleague Raya Alwasti. This presentation is team effort, and it will be not possible without our great staff members here who help with slides, manage Q&As, and help with the logistics. So kudos to the ISSO team in advance. We know that this is an important step for you in your F-1 journey as you take all the knowledge that you have learned at Columbia University and you plan to apply for your future employment in the U.S. All information covered today is explained in greater detail on our ISSO webpage, so please check it out. So let's get started. First of all, we want to say congratulations to our spring grads on making this far in your program. We know many of you have lots of questions today, and we have a lot of information to cover. If this is your final term and you plan to work in the U.S. after your graduation, you have heard of OPT, but you don't know where to start and how to approach your application, it is a great place to start. For those who are listening this presentation but may not be graduating this term, we're happy that you are getting a head start as you plan your future. So let's learn what OPT is. It's a type of work authorization, and it's a benefit for the students. You're considered to remain in F-1 status when you're on OPT and once you graduate. It allows you to remain in the U.S. after your graduation, and it allows you to work in the field of your study. This is what we refer as post-completion OPT. You normally get 12 months of OPT at each higher degree level. And if you use the portion of your OPT while you were studying before the graduation, then you will only get the remaining time left of your 12 months of OPT. We have a great resource on our ISSO webpage, OPT calculator. Get used to it, look at it. It's a great resource. All employment must be always directly related to your field of study, and you're responsible for explaining that connection if you ever asked by the government. You should always feel comfortable explaining how what you've studied at Columbia University is related to the work you do under OPT. Our page has a section on different types of employment, and OPT offers some flexibility with both paid and unpaid employment, as well as having multiple employers. Discussing your eligibility for OPT, you must be enrolled in a full-time degree program or a qualifying certificate program for at least one academic year, 2 consecutive semesters. You should be making a good progress towards your graduation, and you must be in the U.S. in order to apply and submit your application with USCIS, which we'll talk further in detail. So to break down the process for you and make it easier, there are 2 steps to keep in mind. The first step is apply for OPT in Compass and have it issued by the ISSO. The second step is finalize your application with USCIS to grant work authorization and be issued an employment authorization document, which we are greatly refer in ISSO, and it's called EAD card. Both steps are done online, and be aware that you need first to secure OPT I-20 and then apply with USCIS. So let's talk about EAD card. This is the final step in the application process once it's received by you. Only when you have an EAD card and you're within the dates printed on the card, you can begin your employment on OPT. This is card you must present to an employer to show that you have been given a work authorization to work in the U.S. and is a very important document. So make sure to keep it to yourself, and you don't want to lose it. So let's take you on a journey as you understand OPT eligibility, overall goal of getting an EAD card so you can work. So your application is very important. And at the same time, it is one of the many applications that are received by USCIS. It is not only application that comes from students graduating at Columbia University, but other schools in the US at the same time as you are graduating. So that's why USCIS receives roughly over 8 million various applications per year to be approved. Just like we ask you to give us time to process, we also remind you to give USCIS to process your application and review it. The average processing times can vary, but it's expected to be up to 90 days. We always advise our students to allow themselves 3-4 months for this process to take place. It can be less or more, but we just don't know for sure. That's why it's important to plan ahead. So this is the time to empower yourself and be strategic to see what is best for you. You can take all the tips and information we are sharing with you today, think through how this works for your case, and make a plan. So let's discuss things you can control and things that are beyond your control. Things you can control. Unfortunately, the processing times, remember, USCIS is a final approver. We'll make a recommendation, you'll submit an application, but USCIS is the final approver. Job market search could be another part of the process to navigate. Searching for jobs, securing interviews, finalizing an offer, and of course, navigating the rules or F-1 regulations. In the next slide, we will talk about what you can control. And that is something that we like to share more tips with you here. This is an overview of what we will be discussing today. The importance of applying early, choose your start date, navigating ISSO website, which has comprehensive information, as well as we will have some time for Q&As towards the end. So again, hold off submitting your questions as a lot of information will be covered by me and my colleague Raya. So apply early. It's an important tip that some students do not realize until it's close to their finals or once they graduate and they realize they should have listened to the ISSO. You will be asking yourself, what does early mean? So let's look at an example. The earliest timeline for you to apply, since most of you will be graduating this May, we'll use the program end date to align with May 20th. And the earliest you may apply 90 days before your program end. So start applying as soon as February 19th, and ISSO will be accepting OPT requests in Compass this week. So plan and submit to us as soon as you're ready. The latest to apply, if you haven't applied within those 90 days before May, there is still time for you to do so, but it's a limited period. So keep in mind the time which is referred as 60-day grace period following your program end date, so after May 20th, is still the time you can submit your application with USCIS. So again, we remind of your choices, and of course, they come with consequences. Everyone's case can be different. In the next few slides, we're going to highlight a few things to keep in mind as you go through the process. We'll discuss early versus late application. There are many benefits applying early, and we strongly encourage you to do so. Early application means time to address any application problems, any rejection, any request for evidence or information, or a denial from USCIS. You're ready to start your job once you have an EAD card, and you can avoid issues with your mailing address. Some of you may remain at the same physical and mailing address. Some of you may be changing your address while you graduate. And this is something also keep in mind as you're planning. You must have a valid address for at least three to 4 months at the time of your application. So you could use your mailing address, a friend or a family member to use that address and make sure that your documents are delivered. The late application, on the other hand, means that you may lose part of your 12 months the later you apply. Too late to resubmit if there is any problems and less control over your application. Some more additional tips regarding the well-being overall and submitting application early. When you apply early, you are able to better focus on your academics, as you will have a lot to juggle towards your finals, towards your exams. You'll have less anxiety over the application, more time for a job search, and more likely to have your ED card in hand before the job. And you can give your employer a specific start date once you secure your ED card. When you apply late, of course, you may miss the job opportunities waiting for ED. You may have a lot of things to juggle and risks of delaying your application if you have to move. And of course, one more item for us to highlight is travel. It comes a lot as questions during meetings with students regarding the travel. There are also travel reasons as to why an early application is in your best interest. With early application, you won't have to worry about your application status while you're abroad because your OPT application will already be approved. You'll have your ED card, so you can travel without stress, and you'll be prepared to present all necessary documents for international travel. If your application is not approved before your program, and after you graduate, we strongly advise to remain in the US until your application is approved. If in case you depart, you'll need to have someone to check your mail. You may have problems returning to the US with only pending application, as the border officers may question further, and you'll likely not be able to renew your visa in case if it has expired. So just to have the peace in mind, just apply early. Another important item to keep in mind before I soon hand over to my colleague, students ask us if I need a job offer, and the answer is no. You don't need a job offer to apply or be approved for OPT. For those who did CPT, it is very employer specific. This is not the case for OPT. So it's a good thing that you could apply early and you don't need a job offer, and you could be searching for a job while the application is being pending and approved. So do not procrastinate, apply as soon as possible. There are many benefits to apply early, and we'll recap those benefits for you. You can have a stress-free process as you're graduating. The later you apply, the higher risks of potential problems, and the job is not needed to apply for OPT. Now I'll turn to my colleague Raya to cover the rest of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Nelly. You shared a lot of great information so far about OPT process. We hope you understand the importance of applying early. The next important thing to consider is your start date. Choosing an OPT start date may be difficult for some or very step in the process, but only you can make a decision. When you choose a date, remember you have to stick with it. You cannot submit OPT application without start date. If you are not sure, you may also consult with your academic advisor or career counselors, as they may know better about the job market of your field of study. When you have to choose your OPT start date, you have to choose your OPT start date from 60 days following to your program end date. If you are spring 2026 is your final term, then the end date of your program is May 20th, 2026 on your I-20. This means the earliest date you can choose is May 21st, 2026, and the latest start date can be July 19th, 2026. Can you change the start date after sending the application to USCIS? Very common question that been asked. The answer will be no. Once you choose a start date and submit your application to USCIS, you cannot change your date. Please choose your date wisely. We know it's not easy, but we are here to help. There are some factors you can consider when you're choosing your dates. Have a job offer, then it will be much easier for you to choose a start date. If you are planning to take a break after graduation and travel travel internationally, then you can consider your start date according to your plan. There also, you have to keep in your mind, there's unemployment time. There is a certain amount of days that you cannot exceed unemployment time during the 12 months of OPT. This will be started from the choosing start date you will select for your EAD card. Here we have a case study for a couple of students trying to choosing their start date. Let's see how these students choose their dates. Everyone will be different.
Hello! Thanks for joining us today at Ask the Alums. As an international student at Columbia, I know I'm not alone in feeling very stressed about applying for post-completion OPT, especially choosing the start date. I know I can choose a start date from any of the 60 days after my I-20 program end date, but it's so hard to know what's the right one to pick. If you have a job offer, it's easy. Your requested start date would be the day your employment begins. But for the rest of us, it's not so simple. It can take an average of 3 months for USCIS to process OPT applications, so we can't really wait until the last minute to make a decision. I've asked 2 alums who are now employed on OPT to give us some guidance. Tell us how you chose your OPT start date.
Sure, so I was a May graduate, so I had to choose a start date between the middle of May and the middle of July. I didn't have an offer at the time of applying for OPT, and I was still looking for a job. I knew I didn't want to choose an early start date right after graduation because I was worried that the 90-day clock for unemployment would begin before I started work.
What do you mean by the 90-day clock?
Well, OPT regulations allow you to accrue a total of 90 days without employment throughout the entire period of your authorized OPT time. Days of unemployment start counting from the start date on your EAD card.
Exactly right. So my first thought was to choose the latest possible start date in July to be on the safe side and to maximize the time I might need to find a job.
Huh, that sounds like a good plan.
I thought so too. I thought I could change my OPT start date if I found a job that started earlier, but when I checked with the ISSO, I learned that you can't change your OPT dates while your application is being processed.
Bummer, that really locks you in.
Yeah, not only that, I had to travel abroad in late June. Now, obviously you can't start a job and then immediately ask for time off, and I didn't want my time abroad to use up part of the 90 days of unemployment. Luckily, my F-1 visa was still unexpired, so I didn't need to go to an embassy or consulate to apply for a new one while I was abroad.
So what day did you end up choosing?
I finally chose the latest start date in July because of my travel plans and to allow more time for my job hunt.
Awesome! How about you? How did you choose your start date?
Of course, a lot of same factors apply to anyone applying for OPT, but my situation was a bit different because I finished my program at the end of the fall term, not in May. The program end date for December graduates is the last day of the fall term, not the date in February when they get their degrees. So my 60-day window for choosing an OPT start date began right before the winter holidays. Completing a program in December is a bit challenging because not many employers are going to hire anyone to start during the holidays. If I chose a very early start date, I probably start using up some of the 90 days of unemployment, so I didn't want to do that. Since it can take an average of 3 months or more for USCIS to process OPT applications, and there's no way to speed up a pending application, I knew it was important to apply for OPT as early as possible.
So, how early can we apply for OPT?
Oh, I know. The earliest you can apply is 90 days before your program end date.
Exactly. So I began my application in September even though I didn't have a firm offer of employment yet.
So how did you make your choice?
I was afraid that if I chose a late start date, I might miss out of an opportunity. If an employer wanted someone to begin earlier, I decided to choose a date somewhere in the middle of the 60 days. Before you start working, weekend days count toward the 90 days limit without employment. So I chose a Monday as my OPT start date, and I recommend you do the same. I'm happy to report it all worked out.
Fantastic! Thank you both for sharing your experience. To summarize for our viewers, when you're choosing a post-completion OPT start date, you need to consider these factors. The time you need to find a job and the time it takes to get the EAD card in the mail. That you can't change your OPT dates, nor can you expedite the processing time. The 90-day limit for unemployment, and any international travel plans. And remember, visit isso.columbia.edu for detailed information on the OPT application process. Thanks again, everyone!
Well, we hope you find this video helpful. As you can see, everyone have a different start date and everyone case is different. To recap what we covered so far about your choosing your start date, choose OPT employment start date wisely. If you have a job, then it is easy, but if you don't, you have more some flexibility. Consider all the factors to help you decide on dates. Once you submit your application to USCIS, remember it cannot be changed. The start date cannot be changed. We have the other tip for you. ISSO website. We put a lot of time and effort into building that website. We had you in our mind. It was developed when it was developed. We ask that you please trust it and use it as your go-to resource. Let's meet Lisa. So, Lisa is a F-1 student from Canada. She told you don't need to a valid F-1 visa when you travel during OPT as long as you have your EAD card. Do you have to trust her? The answer is no. Lisa is a Canadian citizen, and she might be right for her situation, but everyone different, and it's always best to check with ISSO, and also always best to check our website for further information. We have a specific page about in details about traveling during OPT. This website is reliable and up to date. Can access 24/7, and it's mobile friendly. Again, Just trust our website, and we hope we will be your best friend during your OPT application, even during OPT period. Let's go on a tour for our website. It will give you better understanding about how to navigate the website, and also I will bring again to your attention there is a specific page on our website named Travel During OPT. Please pay close attention to where web page is located, as I'm sure many of you want to know about traveling during OPT, and the answer is there. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to the ISSO website. The purpose of this short video is to go on a brief tour of the website specific to post-completion OPT. We'd like to show you how easy it is to use and highlight some important topics. To begin, we will scroll over the header Employment, and under For Students, we will click on F-1 OPT after your program. As with all our web pages, you will see details relevant to each page and topic. As we continue to scroll down, we'll see quick links indicating what is covered on the page, such as eligibility, important information to know before you apply, and an application process overview. As long as you carefully follow our ISSO instructions, there should be no issues with your OPT application. Here, you can see our OPT calculator, which you can use to figure out the range of dates you can choose from for your start and end date of OPT. We would now like to highlight another important topic, travel during OPT. Information on this topic can be found by hovering over our Visas and Travel tab. Under For Students, we'll select Travel during F-1 OPT. It is important to know if you are traveling and plan to return before the program end date on your I-20, since your re-entry will be based on your return as a continuing student. In this scenario, your OPT application has no impact on travel regardless of whether it's pending or approved, since you're currently enrolled and will return to the US before the end of the semester. With the pending OPT application after your I-20 program end date is passed, we recommend that you remain in the US until your OPT application is approved. This is because if you're abroad and your OPT application is rejected or denied, you will no longer be eligible to enter F-1 status to apply again for post-completion OPT. That being said, there are certain circumstances where an F-1 student may want or need to travel with the pending OPT application after their I-20 program ended. If this is your situation, please see the documents here. These are the documents that we recommend you have with you when you request entry back into the US. We also recommend flying to JFK or Newark, as we have interacted with those CBP, Customs and Border Protection officers. Finally, with an approved OPT application and your EAD in hand, traveling as an F-1 student is far less complicated. Below, you will be able to see the documents that you require as you are still in F-1 status while in OPT after graduation. Thank you!
Beside our website, which is a lot of information that answer a lot of your questions, we also offer, and as you know, we are here to support you. We also offer a variety way to contact us, and then you could always book an appointment with us, either virtual or in person, or reach out to us via email or phone. We also often hear of scams targeting international students, usually through calls, text, or social media. Just keep in your mind, government would never call you via phone or just messaging you. Usually those scammers, they pretend they are government agency, and then they contact student and intimidate them by threatening their immigration status or university standing. Scammers then ask student to provide payment or personal information. Again, if you receive this kind of call or messages, claiming to be a government for law enforcement official, you should hang up immediately. Never share any personal information with them. and then if you are not sure, you always can contact us by sending us an email or ask to meet with the ISSO, and then we could help you better if you need more clarification about the calls or you are uncertain if it's unofficial or not. But again, remember, government official will never call you or text you or reaching out through the social media messages. Recap, again, please trust ISSO and make sure to keep checking the website for information, because most of the information there, it's answered your question. And always, if you need more clarification, reach out to us via email or book an appointment. We want you to see you succeed. There is here are some reminders. So when you submit your application and we review it and everything looks good, we will issue the OPT I-20 for you. Once we send you the I-20, you're required to review the OPT I-20 and verify all the information is correct. The OPT I-20 the OPT recommendation will be on your second page of your I-20. So make sure you have all the dates correct and all the other information regarding your program, major, and everything. It looks good. And if you have anything, you need to reach out to us so we could help you to fix it. USCIS online application, the OPT online application is easy to use. We highly recommend it to file the application online. There is also a premium processing if you want. It will be that's meaning you will take you will have a decision from USCIS within 30 days. But also it's an optional, but the fee will be for now it will be around 6,885, but it will be increased to 7,880 on March 1st. Again, you have to keep in your mind you must be in the U.S. in order to apply for the I-765 within the USCIS. That's when you must be physically in the U.S. When submitting your OPT application to USCIS. There is another reminder that we want to bring your attention to. Some application, they might receive an RFE which called request for evidence. It's similar to ISSO. So when you send us your application, we'll review it. If anything missing, we will reach out to you to get more clarification. It's the same process with the USCIS. So it's the request for evidence is to reach out to you if your application missing any information. So they will send you the RFE asking for additional information. If you receive an RFE, please email a copy of all pages to ISSO so we will able to review it for you and then help you to then we can provide you a guidance and help you to respond to the USCIS about the RFE you received. The other thing we want to bring your attention to the biometrics appointment notice. You might receive from USCIS might issue you a notice informing that you have been scheduled for biometrics appointment. You may be able to schedule this appointment for an earlier date. If you have any question, also please email us if you receive those kind of notice, and then we could provide you with further guidance. Also, you will be part of your OPT journey. You will be required to submit the OPT reporting, and also to stop the clock from the 90 days unemployment on your OPT. when reporting your start date, that's mean the CVP reviews OPT employment to ensure students do not exceed the 90 days in unemployment days. So make sure to also follow all the OPT requirement once you receive your EAD card. For a student who may work on campus employment authorized end by the program end date on your I-20. So you are not eligible to work on campus if you hired by Columbia after the degree completion. You may work during the OPT period once your OPT application approved and you receive your EAD card. Again, you as my colleague Nelly mentioned, your application is many of the other application. So be patient when USCIS are reviewing your application. So you might not have your EAD card as soon as you apply. We know how much this is important, and the work authorization mean a lot to you to receive your EAD card. So we are here to support you. Remember, this is only the beginning. After you get your EAD card, continue to use our website. Stay informed. Keep monitoring your email from any information from ISSO, because we will send a lot of reminder about the OPT reporting and report any employment update. If you get an additional employment or changing your employer, always report. Submit the OPT report. To keep your CVISR card update. Here's what you can control, as we discussed earlier. Apply early, you will receive your EAD card early, and then you have more flexibility to travel or to start a job once you receive your EAD card. Choose your start date wisely, and of course, always trust our ISSO website. We are here to support you and to make this process much easier for you, hopefully. Thank you so much for joining us today.